Hmm. And you
It's
said
radical.
you said you were a vegetarian before the symptoms kind of came up. What foods would you contribute to when you added them into your diet? Helped you notice the biggest
Well,
effects?
so a lot of people know that I'm very, very fond of the paleo diet. And I have to remind them that for me, the paleo diet was not enough to recover me. So in 2002, I gave up all grain, all legumes, all dairy, meticulously, and put meat back in the diet. I had to do that over several months because it was a big change. And but I continued to decline. And then I'm adding vitamins and supplements. I'm still declining, although more slowly. It wasn't until 2000, December 26th was when I had reorganized my paleo diet in this very specific way. I reduced the meat. I added liver once a week, and I dramatically increased my vegetables, particularly greens, green salads, kale salads, parsley, cilantro, cooked greens. I was easily having 3 to 6 cups of greens every day, 3 cups of cabbage, onion, mushroom family vegetables every day, and 3 cups of really deeply colored things, beets, carrots, berries. I added fermented foods, nutritional yeast, seaweed, and it was startling. I'm beginning to recover. I recovered enough that I'm deciding to go to medical meetings and present my research. And what I discover is when I travel and I can't eat the volume of vegetables that I'm used to eating, after about 24 hours, my energy begins to plummet. So I would learn to travel with cabbage in my luggage so I could have my volume of vegetables with me. And I would travel with kale because that travels pretty well as well. And so I learned how to travel and maintain my diet. It's actually gotten quite a bit easier now. But the biggest thing is I've learned to travel with my food, with my backup food.
Hmm. Yeah, kale is one of my favorite foods, so I eat it almost every day. And I was wondering,
Yeah.
uh, do you incorporate omega-3s into your diet?
Yes. Yes. So I work hard at getting grass-fed, grass-finished meats. We add some wild fish as well. And then I talk about the benefits of taking fish oil or cod liver oil. And for my vegetarian, vegan patients, and I am mindful that people are vegetarian for very important spiritual beliefs, and we're going to work with them in terms of how to implement that diet in the safest way possible. So we have plans for vegetarians, and I'm mindful that even in the meat eaters, people may have religious reasons why they're avoiding beef or pork or other, culturally appropriate or inappropriate meats for their culture in their religious perspectives.
Hmm.
So we definitely work with people to be sure that we're paying attention to their spiritual needs as well.
Hmm. Yeah, right now I'm just fascinated by researching inflammatory biomarkers like leukotrienes and prostaglandins, and how the EPA in fish oil can downregulate arachidonic acid, which can
Yes.
downregulate uh, leukotrienes
I,
and
you know,
prostaglandins.
it normalizes things very nicely. And my vegetarian colleagues would say, well, chia seeds have more omega-3s than salmon, which is true. But if you and I are eating the chia seed or flax oil or hemp oil or walnut oil, our body has to add another carbon chain, lengthen that chain to make eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid that our brain needs and our cells need, so that as a man, you can convert about 5% of the vegetarian version of omega-3. If I'm pregnant, I can convert about 7 to 10%. Otherwise, I too am about 5%. So if people are open to eating meat, having grass-fed, grass-finished meat, or taking fish oil, cod liver oil is superior. If they're not open to eating meat, then you could get either algae-based DHA oil, or you have to consume an even higher level of the vegetarian vegan omega-3 flax oil, hemp oil. So it's possible, but we have to be more mindful that we have to be much more focused on getting enough omega-3s.
Yeah, I mean, probably 90% of America just are deficient in omega-3,
Yes,
and they're
yes,
not
absolutely.
getting enough from food, and they certainly aren't taking the proper supplements. And
Correct.
the ratio, I don't, I think I heard that the average ratio is like 20 omega-6s, which is the bad fats, to 1
Correct.
omega-3. And that's
And
the average.
sometimes as high as 45.
That's
And
crazy.
so when you're that off kilter, the ratios in our cell membranes affect the ratios in our brain. And so it affects our neurotransmitters, adding to problems with anxiety, with attention, with mood, with memory. So it's important to get plenty of omega-3s, but of course it's in balance. We want omega-3s. We want the omega-6s to be much more appropriately balanced, like 3-to-1, 4-to-1 is most ideal. When you are 15-to-1, 20-to-1, 45-to-1, in terms of the omega-6s to omega-1s, that creates a big problem. Every now and then you can find someone who is very careful to eat 0 nuts and seeds, takes additional fish oil, and so they skew the ratios too strongly to the omega-3s, and that can create some problems as well. So we can't make a mix omega-6 fats. We can't make omega-3 fats. Our brain needs those fats, and we prefer to have them in closer to a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, and I'm trying to optimize my body as much as possible. So I'm trying to get that 1-to-1 ratio, and
Yeah.
I'll take the fish oil pills whenever I eat, chicken or eggs or almonds, and to balance out that ratio. And when I was flaring up with eczema, I was eating like a huge bag of almonds because it helps diversify the gut microbiome and it's great at reducing inflammation. But it had too much omega-6s. Like it was like the ratio like 12-to-1. And I would have like these giant 4-pound bags because it's such a tasty snack.
Well, they're very yummy.
Yeah.
They're certainly very yummy.
And my ratio was way off and I didn't realize that. So yeah, so now I incorporate fish oil, and a lot of people out there also are buying the wrong fish oil supplements, and sometimes they'll buy flaxseed oil because they read the marketing and they see it has omega-3s in it. Well, it has the alpha linoleic acid, which has to be converted to EPA and DHA. And the conversion rate is pretty low. It's
correct. 5%. So 5% for men. If you're pregnant female, you might get up to 7 to 10%. But if you're not pregnant or you're a man, then it's going to be that 5% range. So I have to eat 20 times the amount of vegetarian sources of omega-3s that I'd have to eat if I was eating a animal source, such as wild fish, grass-fed finished meats.
And back when I wasn't educated on fish oil and omega-3s, I bought this giant thing of flaxseed oil. But then when I look at the ingredients, there's actually more omega-6s inside if you consider the conversion rate from alpha linoleic acid to EPA and DHA. So these companies, love, marketing to people that it has omega-3s in it, but most people don't realize that they're buying the wrong supplement.
That they're also getting omega-6, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.